Cool, we've got some derivative rules under our belt. We've got the constant rule, the power rule, and the constant product rule. We've got one last one here, the sum rule, which is a little bit different. And after that, we'll have some exercises that allow us to practice all of these rules that we've learned so far. The sum rule allows us to take two separate terms and calculate the derivative on them separately. So if we're taking the derivative of both y and w with respect to x, so you can separately calculate dy dx and dw dx and then simply add them together. As usual, seeing this with numbers, actual numbers, will make it easier to understand what's happening in the sum rule. So let's say that y is equal to x to the power of 4 and w is equal to x to the power of 9. Now, if we want to calculate the derivative of y plus w with respect to x, we know from the sum rule equation here that we can calculate dy dx and dw dx separately before adding them together. So let's simply do that. When we differentiate x to the power of 4, we've seen already a number of times, according to the power rule, that this leads to 4x cubed. And the derivative of x to the power of 9, following that same power rule, leads to 9x to the power of 8. So that's it. We now have these two separate terms. We can add them together, except that because they are to different powers, we can't just add them together, so we leave them as is, as two separate terms that are added. So if we knew what x was, then we'd be able to add them together. But without knowing what x is, we have to leave them as two separate terms.